So should you buy or build? That's the question that we want to help figure out for you today.
All right. So should we start with build?
I reckon so, Liz.
I think so.
You know
Let's start
why?
with build.
Why I'm thinking we start with build? Because that's where we start when we train people anyway, and it's the best place to learn.
And that's where we started.
That's where we said that.
My first one was a build.
Yeah, you actually built it. I remember that.
and I built it, and that was the pain that made me go, I want to buy.
And then in frustration, because Liz in those days was very impatient, and she said, I'm not not doing that again. I'm just buying an existing running online business. But let's look at building, because as I just mentioned, this is where we start everyone out, and it is a very smart place to start out, because if you're new to this, which presumably you are, and you have no digital skills like us in the early days, this is the best way to learn the digital skills
very
that
low
then
risk.
make it easier for buying later on. And as Liz just said, it is very low risk.
Yeah. So getting started. So the other cool thing is, not only when we say low risk, one of the things is it's low risk in terms of money, because to build a website, to build a digital asset can just be time. As long as you've got a computer and a connection to the internet, you can build a website. Pretty much the biggest cost is probably hosting, which is maybe $10 a month.
Yep.
Other than that, you can actually build it for free. So it is just time. And I think that's really, really leveraged. I think about any other asset that you can get into in this world, real estate and shares and all those things.
Traditional businesses,
you have to have money. There's a lot of money you have to spend up front in order to launch something that would be worth a lot in the end. In this world, it can be almost zero, which is fantastic.
Really important for our community, and maybe you listening are in this situation, you can do this part-time in the evenings in your Jimmy Jams, literally, like just as a pretty much, I guess you call it a side hustle.
Yeah.
But honestly,
and you can walk away. Like you can walk away for a week, leave it sit there.
Yep.
It's going to be fine, and then come back to it. So it's not like it needs your attention every hour of the day in order to be growing or running. We can actually set the foundations up and then let it work its magic. Even with you not doing anything to it for a while, it will still be building reputation, building traffic online. So it is a very, very leveraged strategy.
So you can keep your day job.
Yes.
So you don't have to quit to do it straight up. Yeah. And the other thing that our clients love, this is a very creative process, and you get to design it exactly how you like as well. So that's good fun.
I think that's one of the big feedbacks, isn't it? That people love. It's a very big creative outlet. You can indulge a passion, so you can build your business around something that you're passionate about.
Like Joshua. So one of our clients, he built it's on the Digital Investor podcast show. You can see the interview with Joshua. He was into jet skis. So he built a site around jet skis while he was learning how to do all this stuff.
And what did he sell it for?
I think he sold that for $20,000 US.
20 grand.
Not a bad little side hustle. Now, he wrote all the content himself because he liked jet skis and stuff. And he does say in the interview, he put lots of effort into it and he had a ball though. It was his passion. But then there are other clients of ours who build sites in things they know nothing about. And I'm, of course, thinking of Yvette. Oh, yes. Yvette is so not a pickleball player. No. And you've got to check out her podcast. She's awesome. Yvette's done everything.
The interview
on it. So she similar to Joshua, she built what's called a passion site around a topic called pickleball, which she heard mentioned at one of our events, and she knew nothing about it, and she just hired expert writers to help write the content and everything, and she sold that for $15,000. Go and listen to the podcast; it's really cool. And she built that part time in addition to all the other things that Yvette was doing.
Another one, and because they don't always end up just being small, I shouldn't say just being small, 15-20 grand US is a nice bonus. But what about Greg? Greg's interview.
Well, his passion and one of his areas of expertise is he's a leading jazz guitar teacher. So we've, over the years, working with us, he's built his jazz guitar website up into a 6-figure business. And again, he's on the podcast. You go and check out his full story. But he built that from scratch based on his expertise. So that wasn't a bought website. And it's taken him years to get there, though. So you need to listen to the podcast so you understand. But the fact is, makes 6 figures a year.
The cool thing is, though, because he went through that process and learned how to build it,
just about
when he came to us, what we helped him do was do little things to then just take it to the moon. It's kind of like the rocket ship, isn't it? Where it takes a lot of effort and time to launch the rocket ship, But once it's out of the Earth's atmosphere, it only takes a little bit of effort to push it to the moon. And that's what's really exciting about building. If you've got the time to invest and to create those good, strong foundations, the good thing about building too is you know exactly how your website has been built. There's no skeletons in the closet. You know what you've done and how you constructed it. So you might feel, if you're a control freak, like me, you might like that strategy. And so that means that once you've got those really good, strong foundations, after it's launched and it's got its momentum going, small little tweaks can take it off into the stratosphere.
But I will point out, if I've got to flip it around, that is also the biggest challenge.
Yes.
And for people like you, not just control freak, but slightly impatient, Liz, and like a lot of our community members, the biggest challenge with this one is this is very much a slow burn strategy. It is not something that's going to happen overnight. You're not going to build a site about pickleball and magically start sell it for 15 grand within the next week. No. It does take time. These days we're looking at 18 months plus from zero to hero as you build it, just for like a standard site. So that is a big challenge for a lot of people. And again, this is why we love buying websites, because you know how Liz just used the rocket analogy. We're buying those rockets that someone's put masses of effort into them and they've already launched. We come along, know what to do and can fix them up. Now there is a secret in between strategy, I guess we'd call it, which you may have noticed on our podcast. Our big success stories in our community is building websites for local businesses or lead gen, because they're a lot easier to rank. They don't take 18 months, so we can get results for businesses a lot quicker. And it's really exciting seeing our community members. Some of them are building incomes of anywhere from $500 a month, $1,000 a month, up to $20,000 to $30,000 a month in their first year of doing that. You still have to learn though. That's probably the main thing when it comes to building websites. There is a skill set and you've got to learn how to do that.
If you have no experience.
You have no experience.
And the other cool thing, like what you're just on your point too, and what we were saying before about constructing what you want. Great example, Pete and Renee.
Lifestyle business.
They wanted a specific lifestyle out of their business, so they did the local strategy, so they're building websites for local businesses and doing SEO for local businesses, and they've built a 7-figure business in which they design their hours. So it's kind of like us when we're building our portfolio. I was very much, we have small children, so I can't work on it in the morning. I start at 9:30 and I'm leaving at 2:30 because I'm picking up the kids and we're having the afternoon together. So we could construct our day around the business, and that's what Pete and Renee have done too. So it's worth listening if you're interested in that and figuring out how to quickly create an income out of digital skills.
Relatively quickly,
using something like the local strategy, building for other people. That's a really good interview to watch because they've done it in a way and built a big, significant business out of that while still living an awesome lifestyle.
And for me as well, I love Mission Avni, who have done exactly what we said at the beginning of this podcast, which is...
We'll link below to
it, but you can see them on our channel. There's multiple interviews with these guys, as there is with Pete and Renee, because we track their journey over the years, so you can see how their journeys evolved. And Mission Avni, of course, they were the ones that did it created a 7-figure digital asset, so a digital agency, within 3 years. Okay, super impressive, but it gets better because just last year, we have Derek and Courtney, who created a 7-figure digital agency doing the same thing, and they were inspired. So, Mission Avni were inspired by Pete and Renee. Derek and Courtney inspired by Mission Avni, and they said, right, we're going to do it in 2 years. And they did it in 2 years. We actually have several of our members who've done that, but just pointing out, it's not strictly building it's not a passive thing what they're doing. It is active, but it's very leverageable because they can hire staff as they get bigger. But the point is they're creating 7-figure assets from scratch. Okay, they're not going into massive debt to do this, and it's just a learning journey.
So that's, mainly for those building websites, the biggest thing is you just need to learn the skills. You've got to have the time and get the skills and to be able to do that. Now, the same applies for buying, but there are some pretty awesome benefits.
Man. Where do
Pretty
we start?
awesome benefits to buying websites.
I'm biased.
Well, certainly, I mean, this is like Matt said before. Yeah. After I built my first website, and this is back in the 2000s when it was all Dreamweaver and HTML, I went, I do not want to do that again, even with tech help.
I never built sites back then. I had no idea how to build them.
So we thought, okay, how do I do this? I love this, but how do we shortcut all that? And we went, okay, let's see who's selling them. Who's selling an asset that is already up and running, already a proven concept, already making money, that I can just buy. So once I buy that asset, that income is mine instantly, and I get instant income into my bank account. So that's the cool thing about buying. You buy yourself time and you buy yourself instant cash flow.
And remember, Liz, in the good old days, there weren't even brokers for websites back then.
Yeah,
so Liz I remember the day she said, I'm going to find businesses, and we're like, how do we do this?
Forums. There had to be forums.
Yeah, and we literally just did what we used to do too, private approach. We just used to email people and say, hey, do you want to sell your business, your online business? And people had never thought of it. So we started buying and selling online businesses, and it was brilliant.
And the cool thing is you get instant cash flow. The other instant things you get, which you might not have realised through buying a website, is instant network. So you get access to these affiliate deals and affiliate programs that you would never get access to if you were building a website, because you've already got all that traffic. You've already got 10,000, 20,000, whatever per month of traffic, so you can get into those higher level affiliate programs and higher level affiliate commissions. So the old adage is true: the better you do, the better you do. It's a flywheel and momentum. You've got instant systems that work, so you've got a whole structure of a business that you didn't have to test and measure. You've got something that's already working.
Up and running.
And you might also get instant team. So you might already get a tech person who already works on the website, a content person who already works on the website, a VA that already knows what to do and how it all runs. So you may actually get that leveraged model straight away. If that's what you're looking for, you may be able to buy that instantly.
And I think
I
do want to come back to the instant cash flow, because I know for a lot of our community members, like yourself, they're very impatient. You may be as well, listening to this and thinking, I can't wait the 18 months to start making money. Now, there's some tricks of that, but it is worth pointing out, like some of our client success stories, which are on the podcast. Dave and Connor is the classic. They bought a website for $1 million, which I don't recommend you do as your first website. That would not be smart. But it was making $300,000 a year. Now that's amazing. $300,000. Literally, the next day they take it over, they're making $300,000. And of course, it went way better than that. Within the next 6 months, they'd renovated it just by changing the advertising. Really simple thing, and because it was a very long-established website, the previous owner had just let it kind of tick along passively, didn't really care about it, and so. Dave and Connor within 6 months making $600,000.
Doubled it.
That's how and that goes exponential on the asset value, because it's on like a 3 or 4 times multiple. So of course that's where the real wealth is. So that went from $1 million asset to pretty much a $2.5 million asset, 2.4 million say. So seriously impressive stuff. But we've got you can do that at a small level. This is where we do suggest you start, not at the 6-figure level. So like Lisa, when she was learning, she bought the famous little tiny $2,500 website just in a sporting niche, reviewing sporting equipment, and she renovated that up to the point where she was having $15,000 months. Pretty mind-blowing. And of course, Lucy and Gary, they're on all these guys are on the podcast. You can go and see their journey, and you'll see, even with them, even though you get instant cash flow, there's still a learning journey to understanding how all this works. And that's why we do these interviews on this channel, so that you can see the reality behind what they had to learn first before they get into these. So we're not recommending you rush out and buy these amazing sites straight away. Learn some stuff first, like the guys do. Listen to the podcast. But Lucy and Gary, they have, you'll see it here, they have $100,000 months now, but one of their early big wins was they bought a site for $30,000. They made their money back within 6 months. Because it was a neglected site that they could fix up. So that's the other beauty of being able to buy existing systems. People have often done all the hard work, like with a rocket getting out to space, and then they tend to neglect them, or they give up, or they own other websites and things. There's all sorts of reasons why, but you come along, you put your magic into it and give it that little flick and send it off to the moon. Hopefully Beautiful. that's what the results are. That's what.
And then the other element too is you can also get bargains.
Yep.
There's always assets, as you might know, from property, from shares. There's
yep.
often assets for sale at bargain prices. And there's not always necessarily something wrong with the asset, or there's something that the owner maybe doesn't see an opportunity in, but you can. And we've bought assets from people who have tax bills.
Yep.
So they have to sell. It's a great asset. They've got a cash flow squeeze.
Called a cash flow crunch.
Cash flow crunch.
We've done it multiple times.
Desperately need to sell this asset, and so you can pick up bargains. Maybe there's something in the website that they aren't able to fix, but we can. Or they're just not able to take that website to the next level.
Or I will say, if they really need the cash flow is king. We were taught that by our mentors, and certainly when you've got cash, you are king when it comes to negotiating, particularly if there's some volatile times in the economy. So we started in 2008, just after the GFC.
Yeah.
It was easy to make deals with people, and that's a great time. Most people are living in fear.
And we may be coming into those times now
in
again,
recessionary times, buying websites absolutely rocks. It's the best way to make money.
So some examples, Heidi and Mariano.
Yep.
They found a website listed for $130,000. They ended up getting that website for $30,000.
And I just did a coaching call with James just literally last week. He came and spoke to our private community about the little site that he found on Flipper for $50,000, listed for $50,000. No one was interested in it. The guy really wanted to sell it. It had had some challenges with the site. James knew how to fix it up. He got that for $12,000, and it's
nice.
It's a bargain buy. Oh my goodness. Annette, she bought a site, a caravanning site. Again, on this podcast, you can go and see her story. She saw it in a private Facebook group for people travelling around Australia in caravans, and someone was retiring and said, "Hey, I'm getting rid of my blog. Does anyone want it or want to buy it off me?" Not a single person saw the value in it. So Annette just privately messaged her, got it for $5,000. That thing's now making $5,000 a month, $4,000 to $5,000 a month. And Nathan and Alexa, of course, my favourite story. They found a neglected gardening site here in Australia for $400, and they've been able to fix it up. Now it's taken time, a few years to fix it up, but it was a bargain buy, and they've gotten that up to where it's making $4,000 a month. I think that's awesome. That's our best example in our community. Go guys!
All right. So now there are some challenges to buying, obviously.
Yep.
You need the skills. Like, you need to know what you're doing. If you're going to buy a website, the whole kind of value in buying a website is that you can take that system and run with it, and also you can improve it. So you do need some foundational knowledge. You don't want to go in there absolutely blind or absolutely with zero experience and buy a website. Just like you wouldn't buy a business, or you wouldn't buy shares or a property if you absolutely knew nothing about the marketplace. So you do need the skills to run the business. You need the due diligence skills to understand, okay, is this a bargain, or is this actually something I should be running a mile from? So you need to know if it's real.
Don't do what we did in our first bricks and mortar business.
No,
mess up the due diligence.
Not understand due diligence.
Smart. No excuses. Learn how to do it, and that's something that's why we're so passionate about teaching due diligence, because it can make you a fortune, and you can lose a fortune if you don't know what you're doing. So make sure you understand that. And on that note too, investing is always a risk. So we never recommend going into debt to buy online businesses. They are businesses. They come with a risk level. And for that reason as well, when you're buying businesses, you'll probably hear me say this on so many interviews that you see me on, start out small. Yeah. Why? Because you can. It's not like bricks and mortar world where you have to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars to get into your decent first business. With websites, you can easily buy a website under $5,000. I just told you of a few there. You can see them on this channel. So start out small, something small where ideally under $5,000 to get started.
Yep. So a few tips when to build. Basically, if you don't have a lot of money to invest, or if you've got a low risk profile, if you don't really want to throw money out into the marketplace, if that would freak you out, buying an asset for $10,000 and potentially, it going down rather than up, then much better to build an asset first and really learn it and get the confidence and the ability and potentially the team to be able to help you do that. So go on to buying later. It is a lot less stress, a lot less pressure. You can do it in your own time, and it's a fantastic way to earn while you learn. So just, especially if you're building websites for local businesses, you can be selling those websites for $1,000 to $3,000 to $5,000 to $10,000 each time. So that's a nice cash flow and a nice way to earn while you learn. So that's some times to build. when to buy, I would say when you've got a little bit more experience, if you understand the marketplace, you know how websites work, you have some money to invest, and you've got a risk profile that you're okay, you understand that investing in a business, you need to run the business and that you need to look after that business, and your goal is to grow that asset. So you need to have the money, you need to have the skills to run it. Ideally, you want to be at a point where obviously you understand due diligence, but also you have the ability to see opportunities, like James. Like, he could buy that business, no one else was interested, but it was only a bargain because he knew what to do with it.
Oh, like Nathan Alexa and like Annette, like Dave and Connor. So many of our clients, once they get this skill, that what Liz is talking about, that skill set dialed in of seeing the opportunities, we call it, in our community, we call it finding the diamonds in the rough, the ones that other people have, glossed over or just thrown aside. Actually, James is a good example because it sat on the marketplace for how long? Like nearly a year. No one else bought it. So if you want to learn more about this, get some inspiration and see how this kind of works in the real world, guess what? Go and watch all the interviews on our channel. Yeah. There's some great stories there, and I think it'll help if you're deciding, do I buy websites or do I build websites? Learn from our community, see what they're doing, and get the inspirational lessons off those guys. And there's some really good insights into how long their journeys took and the exact strategies that they took. So there's plenty of examples on this Digital Investor Show right here for you.
Yeah, so hopefully that helps you out and helps you make that decision.